right. We are here with day 3 of the NFL draft. Should be a fun day. Got some good players left. All right. Had some interesting picks going in round 2 and 3. You had guys like Mingo and Marvin Mims went in the second. Packers double dipping at tight end, going Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft. And then also going Jaden Reed. So they're getting a bunch of weapons for Jordan Love, which you like to see. Zach Charbonnet was a wild pick to the Seahawks. All right. Rashee Rice, so the Chiefs get a receiver. I think a little interesting. They pass up on guys that like Jalen Hyatt, Cedric Tillman were still on the board at this point. Schoonmaker and Brenton Strange going super early is surprising to me, especially with guys like Tucker Kraft. Darnell Washington went super late, in the back of the third to the Steelers. Lions took Hendon Hooker, so he's going to be sitting behind Jared Goff, and we'll see how that works out. Kendre Miller is going to be in that backfield for the Saints. We'll see what happens with Alvin Kamara's suspension. But Giants get Jalen Hyatt after he, presumably falls a little bit. People were mocking him in the first couple about a month ago. He fell out of favor a little bit, but you would still think a second round guy. The Blitnikoff winner last year. But here we go. Guys like Tillman. Tillman's going to take over that role that Donovan Peoples-Jones plays. Donovan Peoples-Jones has been fine, but I think Cedric Tillman's arguably a better player. So it'll be interesting to see how much usage he gets right away. Josh Downs is a fantastic pick by the Colts here in the third. A guy that I think his upside's a little limited, but is going to be a solid player for them. And then pairing up with guys like Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce on the outside, it's a great pick. Titans go Tyjae Spears. They get Will Levis and Tyjae Spears in the second and third rounds here. It's very interesting. You would think that they've had so much success with Derrick Henry, and it seems like his time is coming to an end soon. That they would look to go with that bruisery type of back, but Tyjae Spears really a kind of more pass catching specialist, I would say. That's kind of the type of game he leans towards. Dolphins just getting another track star to add to their team, because they don't have enough guys that run 4.3s and 4.2s. But Tank Bigsby is going to the Jaguars. This is very interesting because I love Tank Bigsby, but he's going to be behind Etienne. And the only hope I have for Bigsby is that Etienne's not a guy that they drafted. And we've already seen with DeAndre Swift, is even if you are a good player and you get drafted fairly high. I know Etienne went in the first, DeAndre Swift went, at the very start of the second. Um, but we could see possibly they just like Tank Bigsby a lot more, and he's going to get that usage. Plus, I think Tank Bigsby is a better player, personally. So, let's get back here to round 4. Saints are on the clock. This could be a receiver. Thought they were possibly going to go receiver earlier, and did not do that. So, let's see. Let me get my big board up here. All right. So some of the players we got left that are a little bit surprising here. Two of the guys, DeJuan Jones is a fairly decent faller. There was talk about him in round 1. Now some stuff has come out that his pre-draft, the way he approached it, some teams might not like. With him not doing certain drills or participating in certain events, stuff like that. So we'll just have to see with that. But I think right now that's best of the best at tackles. We've got guys like Luke Weipler still on the board for interior offensive line, but I think that's really a position. I mean, I think the best right now you have guards, Chandler Zavala and Andrew Voorhees left. A lot of edge guys went in the first 3 rounds, which this was a very good edge class, very deep. There was a big run. I think a lot went very early, so a lot of the teams were trying to get their guys, and they kind of reached a little bit, but at that point it's not really reaching if all of your players are, if you don't have anyone left to draft at that position. Not a whole lot of safeties off the board. All right, Saints pick is in.
With the 103rd pick of the 2023 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Nick Saldiveri.
Wow, that is Saldiveri. they gave her a tough name to pronounce. So Nick Saldiveri, interior offensive line. It really does seem like the Saints are retooling. They've got a lot of veteran players, a lot of old players. They've had to make a lot of cap cuts. Just with the way that they've been juggling that cap for the last couple of years. You bring in Derek Carr. I mean, Chris Olave's there. You've got Michael Thomas. I'm not a guy who believes in any of their players outside of that. Rashid Shaheed. I don't even know if they still have some of their other guys. Marquez Callaway. It's just those guys are not. They don't really do anything there. So they kind of really need a receiver, but they haven't addressed that position yet. So Nick Saldiveri going to be possibly the Andres Pete replacement, because they do have Eric McCoy, who I love, and Cesar Ruiz there in that interior offensive line. Raiders pick is in. They've had a couple interesting picks. They took Mike Mayer in the second. In the third round, they came back with Trey Tucker. Kind of surprising Trey Tucker went before his teammate, Tyler Scott. Wow, Jacorian Bennett off the board. Love Jacorian Bennett. He's a great corner. Would have loved him for the Ravens here at pick 124. Just seemed like it wasn't going to be in the cards. It was just a really good player. Could have went in the third round, but this is definitely good. Eagles are on the clock. I believe this is a trade here. This was a trade. Eagles could be coming up for a running back here. I mean, if this is Israel Abanikanda, that would be fantastic. Chase Brown would be a fun story. They took his brother Sidney Brown in the third. The safety out of Illinois. So that would also be really cool. I wouldn't say it's outside the realm of possibility that they could go receiver. Some receivers left that I really like on the board. Andre Iosivez, Tyler Scott, Raheem Jarrett, Puka Nacua are all guys I like. Kayshon Boutte is still there, and it's a very risky pick, but definitely has some upside. Wow. So the Eagles trade away their third round pick next year to move up here to 403, which in all reality, when it comes to comp picks, it's definitely going to be a little bit. But you would imagine the Eagles are going to be picking fairly late. So it's probably not that far of a gap. In all honesty, so if the Eagles have a guy here that they really need to get, I would imagine it's a running back, just because where they're picking, I could be wrong. I think they're very limited in their picks that they have. And we can take a look at that. Here we go. Eagles pick is in. Yeah, they don't have a fifth. Wow, Keely Ringo. So, so the Philadelphia Bulldogs continue to stack up there. Wow. So the Philadelphia Eagles in 2 years have drafted Jordan Davis, N'Kobe Dean, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, and Keely Ringo, all adding to that defense. Colts here on the clock. Colts have had a very solid draft. I would say they've been one of the biggest winners here so far. Colts get Anthony Richardson with the fourth pick. Then they get Julius Brents a corner. They need corner help after losing Stephon Gilmore. And then Josh Downs in the third is a hell of a steal. And they're getting weapons to surround Anthony Richardson and even Gardner Minshew if he plays early. Let's see, there's some interesting picks coming up here. The Colts are coming up. Let's see I can see the Patriots could be a spot for receiver here. Texans could go running back here. We'll see if they're perfectly fine with Dameon Pierce and Devin Singletary. Browns could go for a backup running back to put behind Nick Chubb. I heard rumors that it was rumored to be that the Jets were interested in Jahmyr Gibbs, and that's why the Lions took him at 12. If that's true, that's crazy, and you would have to wonder if they would try and look to take another running back later in the draft. All right, Colts pick is in. Blake Freeland. And just another solid pick here for the Colts. Wow. Just a really good draft for them so far. Patriots, DeJuan Jones could be a fit here. They have Trent Brown already. So DeJuan Jones would fit there. Let's see. The Seahawks are another team that's had a fairly good draft so far. Even though they did completely screw up the fantasy value of both Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. So that'll be interesting to see how they play that backfield out this year. How much of a true split is it? Will it be a 1A, 1B type situation, or is Kenneth Walker going to be the guy there? Yep. You got Sam saying in the group chat the Eagles are using the Bulldogs as their minor league team. It's very true. It's just farming players. See. Panthers could be a spot here for tight end. Zach Kuntz still on the board. He's mainly the number one tight end I'm looking at to go now. I would really like if Zach Kuntz went to the Chiefs as that potential Travis Kelce replacement. It's definitely going to be a long haul pick to potentially see if it pays off. But the dude is a freaky athlete. All right, here we go. This is where we start getting the picks during commercials now. Patriots pick is in. We'll see who they take. Recap round one here. Bryce Young going to the Panthers. Pretty much what everyone expected over these last couple weeks. Then C.J. Stroud, surprising, with all the talk of Will Anderson going. C.J. Stroud ends up going. And then they do trade back in to take Will Anderson anyway, which I really like for the Texans. And a lot of people are talking about how much it costs to trade up. I think when you have so much picks like the Texans already do, eventually you have to get these high impact players, and you can't just keep going for these, middling players. Also, their drafts have not been the greatest. I think there have been much better players that they just leave on the board. Even taking guys that are, lower rated in terms of consensus, which, it's not always a bad thing, but. Got the Cardinals trading back to 12 and then trading up to 6 to take Paris Johnson. That was a guy that they were looking to take anyway. So for the fact that they could get that, and get a little bit of extra, they got the 34th pick. They traded the 34th to the Lions. Bijan Robinson goes to the Falcons. Is interesting. Jahmyr Gibbs is still a crazy pick to me. Lions could have taken Bijan at 6, and they decided not to. Which Bijan Robinson is just a much more complete player. Patriots pick is in. All right, so the Patriots take center Jake Andrews. So
actually, the announcement has been made internationally, and we are having technical difficulties. Jake Andrews, the center out of Troy, was just selected.
Very interesting.
Yeah, Jake Andrews is going to play next to David Andrews on the offensive line. He's got experience at guard and at center. Played center this year. He started 37 games, so 2 years at right guard, 1 at center. I love the fact that you get a former wrestling champion. That's something I know will play well in the draft room. He's got good size.
Seahawks can go a number of ways here.
He's got quick feet. You love that about him. I love the versatility that he brings. But it's just
I can see them going Christopher Smith, safety, out of Georgia.
I imagine that's where he'll play.
Well, the guards is where they had their best success last year. Michael Wenu playing at one guard, right?
Cole Strange played well.
Strange played well for him last year. Gives him a little depth, but it also, Peter, gives him something for the future because David Andrews had a few dings along the way and he's getting up there.
Greg Bedard in the Boston market asked Bill yesterday, really close, is Mac your guy? Is Mac your guy? And it seems like Mac Jones is the quarterback based on how they're drafting right now.
I'm eager to see if they get some playmakers, Rich, before this draft is over.
Seahawks pick is in.
Well, they had every shot at Will Levis, who grew up in their backyard, didn't take him. So clearly this is Mac Jones's team for his third year, with Bill O'Brien now coordinating the offense. Here's the Seahawks' latest pick.
With the 108th pick,
Anthony Bradford. So they go interior line here,
Seattle Seahawks select
which is a
Anthony
position they definitely needed.
Guard, LSU.
Yeah, this is a big physical guard, 332
Now,
pounds.
Sam's Texans are on the clock.
So when you're thinking about interior offensive linemen, you want guys that can really anchor and pass pro, and then can you move people in the run game? To me, anchor's what he does best. Does a nice job positioning and walling off there at the first level. Once you get out in space, I thought that was an issue. You can continue to grow and develop and get better. He's played some left tackle as well. He could get you out of a game if you needed him to do that, CD.
Took 2 tackles last year.
So the Texans in the third took Tank Dell, which is definitely a little too early for me. I'm not a big Tank Dell guy. Way too small. He's around 160, 170 pounds as a receiver. 5'8", just a really small player. Played pretty weak competition. They got Juice Scruggs, which I don't think was a bad pick in the second. And then obviously C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson. So let's see who they take here.
With the 109th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans.
Dylan Horton.
Dylan Horton, defensive end from Texas Christian University. Go Texans!
Rich, you saw a lot of this guy in that Michigan game. That was a dominant performance from him in that one. With the pressure,
Interesting pick.
He's a little bit of a tweener, some inside-outside flex. I like him better.
So they did trade with Las Vegas, I believe, to get that pick.
That's what he does very well.
So I don't know exactly what the trade was. Or the Raiders traded with Houston here. So they traded back and got Dylan Horton.
Was what showed up in that Michigan game over and over again. He's a smooth, fluid rusher. Good overall athlete. 34 vertical. Did not get a chance to see him run. If he would have ran, I think he probably would have
Okay, so the
tested really well.
Remember, he was a safety wide receiver in high school before morphing into a deep.
and the Saints traded with the
Here's the Colts' latest pick.
with the Bears. All right, Colts are back up.
The 2023 NFL
There it is, Adetomo Adebaware.
Select Adi Tamiwa Adibare, defensive tackle, Northwestern.
Adetomo Adebaware here is a really good pick, along with Blake Freeland. They're just getting impact players that are just possible starters. So I think the Colts are having a great draft, and they needed it because they had a very down year last year.
But he plays hard and he plays physical, CD. Well, can we, as we have to head to break here, the Browns are on the clock. Is there a way that once we have a moment, we could check to see if there are cats and dogs playing together here in Kansas City? Because the Jets just made a trade with the Patriots to allow the Patriots to move up 8 spots. So that's one of maybe the most coveted 6th-round picks the Jets have ever acquired. There you go. That's the dead.
All right, so it looks like the Patriots traded up 8 spots here from 120 to 112 with the Jets. So let's see. Don't have that trade here yet. Guess we'll see it in a moment. It's going to be interesting to see what Cleveland picks here.
Affordable design, endless possibilities. IKEA.
your place to bring it all to life. Do more this season with Spring Black Friday savings at the Home Depot.
Patriots already took. They just took Jake Andrews, so we're seeing teams pick twice here. And we have the Colts just picking twice. Now you got the Patriots are going to pick twice here. See the Browns have 2 picks here in the 4th round. Jaguars got 2 picks. You're going to be seeing a couple of teams here twice.
To the broadest, most reliable network of sales and service dealers. We lead, others follow.
We all have something we love. A passion. Could be our job. Travel. Sports. It could be anything. But here's the thing. If you follow it, wherever it takes you, you'll always find what you're looking for. Now this is an upgrade. And away we go. Hey, what's up? I can get used to this. The best way to see the world is to experience it with travel upgrades and private events from Chase Sapphire Reserve. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Let's go, Bolo. The schedule is released. Lots of great storylines. A rivalry game just the way we like it.
All eyes on the quarterback. It's a true revenge game.
Let's go. Sweeps a man. And it is called. If you're a fan of football, this is the day.
All right.
A beautiful day here in Kansas City, and as you can see, there are still some really good best available players docked in with Jeremiah's top 200, presented by Yeti. They're all value picks. We're at pick 111. Everybody's got
See, the
Daniel Jeremiah.
Browns pick is in. They are back from commercial. Patriots on the clock. Falcons picking next.
Here's the Browns' latest selection.
With the 111th pick in the
DeJuan Jones.
NFL draft, the Cleveland Browns
So we were curious to see how far would DeBoer and DeJuan Jones fall, and both here go back to back early in the 4th.
Times are we seeing now the NFL teams trot out the extra offensive linemen for the big heavy running plays and heavy running sets? And the Cleveland Browns in Big Ten country go big. Yesterday, Siaki Ike from Baylor, the nose tackle. If we were still doing Oklahoma,
All right.
I'd line up from day one with DeJuan Jones. He's got almost
Falcons are on the clock.
I mean, they just are out there.
All right. Who did the Patriots tell the Jets? Let us pick this pick, please, for a 6th rounder. Shout out to the Bonder family. With
All right, so the Patriots traded up 8 picks for this.
2023 NFL Draft, the 6-time Super Bowl champion, New England Patriots select Chad Ryland, kicker.
Wow. So the Patriots traded up 8 picks for a kicker, which is interesting.
Right through the uprights. Look at this. I just love doing the XO. Oh, against Michigan.
Wow.
It's okay. Let me just say this on behalf of Jets fans. If this guy, we let the Patriots choose this guy. If we get Aaron Rodgers and all of a sudden it comes down to a field goal game and this guy is the guy who beats us, we'll remember this moment. You know what I'm saying? Can't understand it. They let the Steelers pick the tackle we want. They get a 4th-round pick that they just traded to the Jets to go choose this guy. What are we doing?
Clark Phillips goes. So he's off the board. So the Ravens can't draft him, which is a guy I didn't want them to draft. So I'm pretty happy with that. Not a bad player for them. They need extra corner help. They got Jeff Okudah. They have A.J. Terrell already there. So... Panthers are up now. Bears are coming up next. Bears have a bunch of needs. Panthers, I've liked what the Panthers have done so far. Obviously, they get Bryce Young. You know, they get my guy Jonathan Mingo in the 2nd round. B.J. Johnson is a decent player in the 3rd round. With all the edge players that have gone off. So, we'll see what they do with their first pick here in the 4th.
Okay, so let's go to Frankfurt, Germany for the latest pick in this draft.
Guten Abend, Freunde. I'm Johnny Hecker, punter for the Carolina Panthers, coming to you live from Frankfurt, Germany, the heart of the NFL in Europe. A part of the IHMA initiative to grow the NFL and the Panthers globally. I'm here with my incredible German fans in the beautiful Heidelberg. And with the 114th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft,
Chandler Zavala. So this is just another great player. I love Chandler Zavala. I was hoping would fall to the Ravens possibly, but just a phenomenal pick for him from NC State.
He was dominant at the East-West Shrine Bowl, and that's when I started hearing some buzz about him. Was excited to watch him. Plays guard. He's quick. He has very strong hands. Once he latches on, he's like a wrestler. He does not give up. He is latched on and he finishes. He's excellent laterally as well.
All right, Bears on the clock. Packers up. Patriots are going to be picking again here. So they've got 3 picks in the 4th round. You'd have to guess that they could have taken their kicker with the 117, but I guess they have to move up here.
his maturation, and of course, having somebody in the NFL that he can speak to about the process. Guess who's going to be lining up against Carolina? Love that fit. Local pick, too. NC State.
And both wrestlers, too. And if you don't mind me saying, more importantly, thanks to that pick, I have my new fantasy team named Hunter Lederhosen. I have my avatar, Hunter Lederhosen. My goodness. Expect to see that so early in the morning here.
All right.
Walk out. We're going to the Hofbrau house and standing there in Lederhosen, like all 9 feet of him with Joe Thomas. I mean, my goodness. Suited and booted. We're drafting men in tights while watching.
Looks like the Bears are fired up with whoever they took here with their next pick.
Bears pick is in, and now we've got another internationally made selection. This one from London. Let's get the Bears.
They're going to London for the pick. Interesting. So they go Roschon Johnson here. So Roschon Johnson is going to be competing with Khalil Herbert. Yeah, so this is an interesting one. Yeah, this is definitely going to be competition for Herbert. I still like Herbert better as a player. This is my 9th overall running back off the board. So, but I think overall, just a good pick for the Bears. You know, they have Deontay Foreman on a 1-year deal. Travis Homer is another guy they picked up. But those guys are just going to be rotational or special teams players.
Rumor has it you're considering a trade to leave the booth for the bar.
Listen, Nikki, I'm always looking for the best opportunity to watch, but I'm just focused on getting the next round. Beers. Yeah.
Get a power card with an entree only at Dave & Buster's.
Try Tide Power Pods with 85% more Tide in every pod.
Who needs that much more Tide?
He does.
No, what does that mean?
It means you're gonna need more Tide. See? More likes, more Tide, more adorable, more Tide. Everyone's gonna need Tide.
You're gonna need more Tide.
It's a mess out there. That's why there's 85% more Tide in every Power Pod.
This is the Lexus variety of electrification, inspired by, created for, and powered by you.
We're reinventing our network.
This will be interesting to see. I'm a big Khalil Herbert guy.
Reliable. Perfectly orchestrated. The United States Postal Service.
I saw what you've been posting. Hitler was right. I didn't teach you that. You hide behind your screen and you're spewing all this hatred. You got something you want to say? Get out of the truck and say it to their faces.
All right. Packers pick is in. Patriots are on the clock. Commanders up after. Commanders, I would be surprised if this wasn't a tight end, maybe a quarterback if they like one, but I would find it hard to believe. They'll probably just roll with Sam Howell. So it'll just be a tight end. They don't really have tight ends on that roster.
Glad you chose T-Mobile, covering more highway miles with 5G than anyone. And when you're stuck, help will be there soon. Because AAA also chose T-Mobile as their wireless partner. See why the companies you trust choose T-Mobile.
I'm Ron Finley, also known as the Gangster Garden. This garden was developed out of necessity for healthy food. The connectivity with social media, with the internet.
I mean, Logan Thomas is old, injured. They've got Cole Turner as a guy who they drafted, you know, late. So he hasn't really seen the field at all.
Do this all the time. Show you guys that got chosen in the round on a third day that turned into absolute monsters like the Condor in Vegas or the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. 4th round selections, just shining stars in the National Football League. Max Crosby, I saw in a video that the NFL put out on their IG. He keeps the names of all the players at his position grafted in front of him on the notes app on his phone. That's one way to get yourself psyched up. Please hit that QR code on the screen that you're seeing. All money goes towards St. Jude by doing that. Just one click, whatever you can give, that would be
All
awesome.
right. Packers pick is in. Let's see who they take. Colby Wooden. Colby Wooden's not really a guy that I'm a big fan of. I think he's very stiff. Just doesn't play with fluidity. So, Packers just picked Colby Wooden, defensive end out of Auburn. Patriots are back up again. We could see them go receiver here. And they go with another interior offensive lineman, which is interesting here.
Eastern Michigan, we go to Ypsilanti, now making its way to Foxborough. First tape I watched on him was against Arizona State. He was excellent. I started talking to some teams like, what's new with this guy? Why isn't he getting more love? Torque and power, that is what his game is all about.
So this is a complete revamped offensive line for the Patriots. Normally they do a fairly good job of kind of building these guys up that they take later on. Alright, Commander's pick is in. Vikings are on the clock. Vikings need a running back here. You know, they bring back Alexander Madison. Dalvin Cook's getting older. There's talks about cutting or trading him. So they could still possibly do that. You know, they didn't have a second round pick. They took Jordan Addison. They went with a corner. I could still see them going defensive back. It's a team they could use help with.
The Kansas City Chiefs just flipped the 5th round pick in next year's draft to the Vikings to place themselves on the clock at 119 overall, and they found out the Commanders pick in advance and then made the trade right away. So let's see who the Commanders are taking first.
Alright, Commanders are picking here. Braden Daniels, tackle out of Utah.
Defensive backs and now 2 offensive linemen with their first 4 picks. Yeah, Eric Bieniemy gets a really athletic player.
So they trade. Let's see. So it looks like the Vikings traded up here. Let's check that. The Lions, they got that pick from the Lions, seems like.
Just jump in here because you've been saying this for the last 3 days. Our teams asked when they announced the pick to designate how they see them.
How he's announced, yes. When they turn it in on the card, they will put the position that they're drafting him at.
Of course, they have every right to change their
So it looks like the Chiefs traded with the Vikings here.
I've been the guy who's had to make the call and double check the name and all that stuff. And it's what position. And you have to tell him as a safety, as a corner.
And then just again, curiosity.
Yeah, so the Vikings traded here with the Kansas City Chiefs. So Vikings are getting, they're moving down 25 picks here. Or 15 picks. They're moving down 15 picks, and they're getting a 5th rounder next year to do so. So we'll see who the Chiefs could be going for. I think this could be a number of players. And the Chiefs are a team that drafted very well. Got a bunch of impact rookies last year. One of the big reasons why they won the Super Bowl.
They addressed the tackle position, which Charles had talked about. Anadike Uzama was the first pick that they had at edge. I had 3 needs for them. They picked all 3. So the floor is there. They can go anywhere they want. You know, last year on day 3,
They went Anudike Uzama in the first round with their last pick. They picked up Rashee Rice, receiver, in the second. In the 3rd round, they went with Wanya Morris. So So they kind of filled all of their needs. So this is definitely going to be best player available for them. And we'll just have to see who that is.
Therefore, that the Chiefs have traded up to go get. Their first rounder is the only one where they stuck and picked. Here's our friend, Eric Stone Street.
So Jets here on the clock now. The Chiefs pick in. Okay, so they take Shamari Connor, safety. Yeah, so this is the player that they just thought was the best available. Still some good safeties left on the board. Christopher Smith, Antonio Johnson are guys I like. Daniel Scott is a later round guy that I think is fairly good. So, Jaguars here on the clock. Jets pick is in. Jaguars taking Anton Harris in the first round. Brenton Strange was a very surprising pick in the second. Kind of a reach for me. You know, he's going to be more of the inline blocking tight end. Evan Ingram is going to be their receiving threat at tight end. And then you've got Tank Bigsby was their third round pick. He's going to be that split back with Travis Etienne.
Ram owners have heart for being fearless, determined.
This is a team that needs slot corner.
Financing plus 2,000 bonus cash on the 2023 Ram 1500.
Meantime, it's Melts time. It's cheesy, so crispy, loaded with toppings, and just $6.99.
Very surprised here. Darius Rush, corner out of South Carolina, still on the board. Would love if he could go to the Ravens here at pick 124. I think that would be a great pick. Also, guys that I like, Eli Ricks is the corner out of Alabama. Baltimore Ravens love drafting their Alabama corners, so definitely a guy I could see them drafting. Kyu Blue Kelly out of Stanford's another guy that I really like. So the Ravens here are going to have their pick at corner if they want. Interior offensive line, Andrew Voorhees is here, but he got hurt during the combine, so I don't know if he's going to fall. The Ravens aren't afraid to take players that are hurt. You know, they took David Ojabo last year, who tore his Achilles during the pre-draft workouts. I believe this is pro day. So they took him, and I think that was a great pick regardless. But they could possibly look to go interior offensive line. Running backs, there's still some running backs on the board. I really like Israel Abanikanda. I would be happy with the pick. I think you just can't rely on J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards to stay perfectly healthy. So they definitely have good players here available to pick at 124, which is pretty good for them. Cardinals coming up here next after the Jaguars. So they're a team that really just has a lot of needs. They're filling a lot of impact holes as opposed to just taking best player available. You know, they've gone edge, corner. I really like B.J. Ojulari. They got in the second.
Last three they traded up to go get. City South from Eastern Michigan was the latest Patriot pick. They picked 3 times in this 4th round, and they've got another one to come, and they clearly are building up on their offensive line, and Belichick and the rest of that staff have identified kids from Sacramento State and Troy and Eastern Michigan. They are hitting the sticks to bring kids to New England.
They've taken several of my favorites, a little bit off the grid players. They've done their work. The other thing is, I talked about the limited draft board, number of names. Once you start running out of names, you start trading up because you're running out of guys.
That means they got to draft Jose Ramirez. That's
my last one. That's my last one that's out there.
Maybe they will. They've got another 4th round pick coming up in a few minutes. Stick and stay there. The Jets pick.
All right.
Coming up. Again, the Jets traded down from 112 to 120 so the Patriots could move up to take the kicker from Maryland, Chad Ryland. So this is the Jets' first pick of the day.
So this is the Jets' first pick in the 4th. This is the pick they traded back 8 spots with the Patriots.
With the 120th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Carter Warren, tackle Pittsburgh.
So Carter Warren, so they finally get their offensive tackle here. And they were looking to possibly get tackle in the 1st round. Didn't go that way. So we'll take a look at their 3rd round pick. They didn't have a 3rd. Their 2nd round pick, they took Joe Tippmann, center out of Wisconsin. And then obviously Will McDonald they took with the 1st pick. So definitely building on that offensive line. Try and protect Aaron Rodgers this year. They're obviously looking to win it all.
Yeah, we can have Jack dig into the number of offensive linemen that they've added in the draft and free agency over the last couple of years. Joe Douglas, former offensive lineman, has really tried to make that a focus for this team. And now when you got the 4-time MVP back there, maybe double down. And that's exactly what they've done. Do not touch, is what the Jets are saying when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. Now back to London for the Jacksonville Jaguars' latest pick.
All right, Jaguars pick is a lot of picks here from London. Alright, so they go Ventrell Miller here, linebacker. Linebackers is kind of thinning out. I'm not that crazy about the talent left on the board at that position. Noah Sunell is a guy that I really like that's still left. D. Winters, Drake Thomas, Ivan Pace, Owen Popo, Cam Jones are all guys that I like late. All right, Cardinals pick is in. Seahawks are up on the clock, and the Baltimore Ravens are after that. Okay, so Cardinals go John Gaines, interior offensive line. So that was a player that I thought the Ravens also could be looking at. I thought he's a very good player. You know, they go Paris Johnson, now John Gaines, two players that I think are very good. You know, they need to shore up that offensive line. It's definitely a weakness for them. You know, Kyler Murray's going to be coming back from injury. So Ravens are on the clock. Pick is in for the Seattle Seahawks. Darius Rush still here. Definitely a guy I would like. Good player. Great value for them. I think he's got a 3rd round grade for me, Darius Rush. So.
All right. With the 123rd pick in the 2023
Cameron Young, D-line.
the Seattle Seahawks select Cameron Young, nose tackle, Mississippi State.
This defense is going to have a lot of good young players now. They've added Derek Hall. Devin Witherspoon was their first-round pick. Now
So they got Derek Hall in the 2nd round, and now they're going Cameron Young to add to that defensive line. They picked up Draymond Jones in the offseason. So I think this is definitely a team building up. They're doing nothing but getting better this year. They made some good picks. Devin Witherspoon at corner to help their secondary. So the Ravens pick is in, so we will have to see. Seems like they're throwing to commercial. Once again, Ravens always, as soon as their pick is in, always to commercial. It's just what happens during the draft. Chargers are up on the clock. Cleveland Browns after that. Chargers could be a running back spot here. Austin Eckler requested a trade. You know, he's a big part of their offense. They could look to get a future replacement for him. They've tried time in and out, to get a backup to Austin Eckler with Isaiah Spiller, Larry Roundtree, Justin Jackson. You know, a lot of these guys that just haven't panned out.
I like to keep the tone down and simple, just like Taco Bell breakfast, with fluffy eggs, sausage, and a crispy hash brown. Isn't that right, co-host Rhonda?
Are we on TV?
Joshua Kelly is another guy. They just haven't been able to get that pick right.
The Hyundai Tucson comes with America's best warranty. It's like a mental vacation no other brand offers. Take a mental vacation or a vacation in the Hyundai Tucson with America's best warranty.
Ever since we started looking for a better cashback credit card.
This is a team I've liked their draft so far. I'm not the biggest fan of Quentin Johnston they took in the 1st round, but they did come back in the 2nd. They took Tuli Tuipulotu out of USC, who I think is just a very good player, and they paired that up with Deion Henley in the 3rd round, who I think was one of the better linebackers left on the board when they made that pick. Yesterday we saw a lot of offensive skill players going in rounds 2 and 3. We saw a lot of tight ends go in the 2nd round. We saw a couple receivers. Some running backs went in. We saw one running back go in the 2nd here in Charbonnet, and then a couple of 3rd round guys. Seems like we've slowed down a little bit. Haven't had a receiver here yet in the 4th round. One running back so far, no tight ends. I think that tight ends is a very very pick specific to teams. So I could see tight ends going, you know, kind of falling for a while here. You know, if the team's not really in love with anyone, you know, most of the top guys are off the board at this point. I see 2 guys on my board that I still like. Zach Kuntz, Davis Allen. Here we go. Baltimore Ravens announcing the pick.
And again, we're at pick 124. Nate's got a grade on your sheet of 50 picks ago. He's a good football player. Do I get a free Yeti, by the way? I can work on that. Okay.
Straight to the top, never going down, don't wait for the drop.
Fans being fans.
Hey, Ravens Nation! With 124K in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Tavius Robinson, linebacker,
Long, high-cut edge rusher. Actually, it's from Canada. Did a nice job
Okay.
at Ole Miss. Some more
So they go Tavius Robinson. This is a player that I haven't really evaluated too much.
punches out of this 4-point stance. And you see the burst and the explosiveness. He's got a little pop in his hands as well. Loves that long.
I'm surprised they're really just. It seems like they have a plan at corner. It's a position we really need.
Yeah, they listed him as a linebacker, right? So he's going to be an outside linebacker off the edge. Does he not look exactly like what a Ravens outside linebacker looks like? Pernell, long arms coming off the edge. That's exactly what they look for. Defense, Ravens.
The latest Los Angeles Charger.
Chargers pick here.
With the 125th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Darius Davis, wide receiver, TCU.
There's your speed receiver. It's the second wide receiver at TCU they selected. Yeah, went right back to the
So there we go. I mean, Darius Davis. This is a player that I don't even have on my board. I don't like this pick at all. You know, if you're gonna go for one of these speed guys that they're saying this guy is, why not just go with Tyler Scott, who's just a much better player? I think this is just not a good pick at all. This is such a reach of a player. You know, a 5'8", 165-pound guy. I mean,
Ventrell Miller, the linebacker that the Jaguars selected. Obviously, you guys studied the tape. Listen to why his tape may not exactly be the kind of player that he was. He's been playing with a Jones fracture since week 2 of last season. He actually had it repaired. That is why he did not participate in Senior Bowl. Dr. Robert Anderson, one of the nation's experts, did it. He has been cleared, should be good to go. Played all year, though, with a foot fracture.
Thanks very much. The Browns are picking, and then the Saints just moved back into the round after that.
all right, Browns pick is in.
With the 126th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft,
Isaiah McGuire, not a bad pick. This is a good pick for the.
defensive end, Missouri.
This is a good pick for the Cleveland Browns. Definitely one of the better players left for defensive line.
He can do it immediately. He plays with strong hands. Thought that the immediate get off was okay. The bend was okay. A little bit tight, but when you watch him against Georgia in their premier left tackle, he was able to jolt him with some power.
Miles Garrett needs a running mate.
When we come back, it's the Saints pick that belong to the Jaguars, which is why we're going to commercial break.
Saints trade with the Jaguars.
The 2023 NFL Draft is presented by Verizon, the network America.
So the Saints coming back up here. Don't believe that they had another fourth. So it looks like the Jaguars had 2 picks here. So they're going to elect to give up one of these picks. Probably in hopes for a future pick next year, if I had to take a guess. Let's see. We don't have the trade here yet. We'll see what the trade compensation is. This trade earlier, the 112 and the 120 swap between the Jets and Patriots, was for the 6th round pick, 184. Vikings traded 119 to the Chiefs for 134 and a 5th round pick next year. So not bad for the Vikings.
Remember, some days forever. We were made to help you find the best way there.
The schedule is released. Lots of great storylines. A rivalry game just the way we like it.
All eyes on the quarterback. It's a true revenge game.
Let's go! Sweeps a man, and it is caught. If you're a fan of football, this is the day.
How to prep for a job interview. Step 1, find the perfect outfit. Step 2, ruin it. Step 3, keep your cool because you booked your ride ahead. Introducing Uber Reserve. Get your ride right.
Are you ready for a taste of Wisconsin?
Don't typically like ours, Rudensies.
Don't let a gut bomb destroy your day. Power up with new smoothie bowls. Choose between a papaya or acai base, served with crunchy toppings and fresh fruit. Only at Smoothie King.
I'm Ron Finley, also known as the Gangster Gardener. This garden was developed out of necessity for healthy food. The connectivity with social media, with the internet, has helped spread my word.
So here are the last 5 picks announced from that stage in Kansas City and other parts of the world. A couple of internationally announced picks. The Saints traded a 5th round pick in next year's draft, and also the 3rd to last pick in this draft for later today to Jacksonville for this pick. Once again, please hit that QR code with your phone on the screen right there. All funds go to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital on that front. Let's do the Saints had in mind to trade a 5th in next year's draft and a 3rd to last pick.
So the Saints are picking here. They traded with the Jags.
With the 127th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints have selected Jake Haener, quarterback, Fresno State.
All right, Derek Carr, Fresno State. Jake Haener, Fresno State. Ultra competitive. If you were trying to find the Brock Purdy in this class, to me, this would be the top candidate. Somebody who's played a ton of football, who's very tough, he's accurate.
Last Jake Haener, quarterback, off the board here. Our first quarterback of round 4. It's an interesting pick. They went with Ian Book a couple of years ago in the 4th round. I mean, Jake Haener is a player that I think is fine. I'm not thrilled with any of these quarterbacks outside of Dorian Thompson-Robinson. This is a guy, he kind of fell for me a little bit.
Rich, we have a major trade. Sources tell me and colleague Tom Posero that the Lions are trading starting running back DeAndre Swift.
Wow. So DeAndre Swift, running back, goes to the Philadelphia Eagles. So there's their running back that they get. You know, we were wondering who they were going to possibly get at running back. DeAndre Swift going to the Eagles is incredible for him. This is a massive trade. Funny enough, DeAndre Swift, another Georgia player. This was the writing on the wall when the Lions selected Jahmyr Gibbs. You had to assume that that's what was going to happen. You know, they had fallen out of favor with DeAndre Swift. And now you've got Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery in that backfield. And then DeAndre Swift, really the sole guy. Rashad Penny there, but I'm not worried about Rashad Penny. He's not a guy that I like. He can't stay healthy. So DeAndre Swift getting realistically a sole opportunity unless they draft another guy here, that being the Eagles. You know, fairly good for...
With the 128th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams.
Wow. Stetson Bennett. Georgia quarterback Stetson Bennett goes off the board in round 4 to the LA Rams.
For the Rams, clicking with Sean McVay, playing when the season was lost, but playing awfully well. This kid plays like that, and guess what? Almost kind of a clone of Mayfield in terms of attitude and how he goes about getting things done, Peter.
Is throwing a baseball. Fireball. I'll tell you something as far as the Rams go here. One of the reasons they traded back last night was to acquire a 4th rounder with the idea of getting a quarterback. And Stetson Bennett, they liked meeting with him, and he's going to be there. And you said Stafford, and you saw Michael Floor on the phone with them. You saw Zach Robinson in the room. That's your offensive coordinator, your quarterback's coach. This is a collective decision. It's no surprise that they got their guy in the 4th round.
Well, he could close for the Dodgers too, apparently. They don't believe in closers, Rich.
So, DeAndre Swift goes to the Eagles in the big trade with the Lions. You have quarterback Jake Haener and Stetson Bennett going off the board here back to back. Very interesting. We've got 2 quarterbacks here. Well, I'm a little surprised these quarterbacks are going high. It is interesting of note. Tanner McKee is a guy a lot of people liked. I do not like Tanner McKee as a prospect at all. He's my quarterback. He's my QB 11. 11 out of 11 players scouted. So, I do not like him at all. And it seems like with the quarterbacks going off the board as they are right now, the NFL doesn't really like him that much either.
And putting him on there with Jalen Hurts being the dog that he is, it just makes a ton of sense. Jerry Jones and the Cowboys doing their usual thing, passing around the phone, handshakes and fist pounds all around. What do you think this is all about? Oh, well,
all right.
We're going to have to ask. We're about to get the answer. The Dallas Cowboys.
I could see this would be a very interesting Zach Evans pick. They have Tony Pollard. They let go of Ezekiel Elliott. So some of these running backs kind of falling here. So Valami Fehoko. They just can't help themselves from drafting guys with the last name Fehoko. They already have Semi Fehoko there. So, you got Jaguars here. They traded their pick 127 to the New Orleans Saints. And they're going to be making their second pick of the 4th round. Bengals on the clock. We've got 7 picks left to go. Or 6 picks. 6 picks left in the 4th round. We'll stick around here for the 5th round, and then we'll probably go after that.
You know, at NerdWallet, we can help you make the smartest decision by comparing rates of top high-yield savings accounts. Oh, amazing. It's the smartest way to get the most out of your savings. Well, in that case, I'll have another coffee. Oats, almonds, regular?
So let's take a look. Let's try and find Alright, so the Eagles trade. Eagles get DeAndre Swift in a 7th round pick this year for a 5th round pick in 2025 and 219. So the Lions move up 30 picks in the 7th round, and they get a 5th round pick in 2025. So in 2 years. And the Eagles get DeAndre Swift. I mean, this is realistic. You know, Eagles knew, or the Lions knew they weren't going to get a high draft pick from DeAndre Swift. You know, this is a running back going into the final year of his contract, his rookie contract, and just not a lot of guys there. Not a lot of teams want a guy like that. You know, they want either a really young guy or a really proven guy. DeAndre Swift is kind of in between. Let's take a look and see if they have the trade yeah, they do have the trade compensation. Jaguars traded 127 to the Saints for a 7th round pick and a 4th round pick next year. So, Saints giving up a 4th next year and the 7th to move back into the 4th round. They didn't have a pick. Or they didn't have any remaining picks. They picked Nick Saldiveri. They traded up for him early to start the draft. So So the Eagles will have a chance here with, let's see, what are their picks going forward? Because we'll wait for the Jaguars pick here. Tyler Lacey out of Oklahoma State.
So they had Ventrell Miller, the linebacker, earlier. Now they come back
interesting. All right. So the Eagles have. Eagles don't have a 5th round pick. They've got 188, and they have 3 7th round picks. They could possibly look to get a late round receiver. So Charlie Jones, receiver out of Purdue, goes to the Bengals. I think Charlie Jones is a solid player. Not flashy at all. Low ceiling, but a player that could be decent overall. He's going to be coming into a room with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Charlie Jones, my wide receiver, 25. Sam's wide receiver, 24. Am I happy with the Ravens pick? I'm not unhappy with the Ravens pick. I don't really know too much about them. At this point, there's not really players that... there's not like a whole lot of players that are going to help you right now. So if they think this guy's good, then that's fine. There are players that I would have liked better, but I don't really know. I trust the Ravens, so I don't like to say that they make terrible picks, unless it's a really, really crazy pick. We'll see. The Ravens have another pick next round. They have pick 157. They only have 2 picks left, so they don't really have a lot of picks, but I like their first pick is really good, so that's the most important one. Wow. Steelers get Nick Herbig here. Pittsburgh Steelers have probably the best draft so far out of any team. And they just keep getting these great players for defense.
athleticism and speed, that won't be an issue as well. I think this is a really instinctive, tough football player who should have been long gone, in my opinion, CD.
Goes into the rotation with TJ Watt. Alatai Smith gives him that extra guy coming off the edge. Might add a little ball. You know, he's a little bit on the light side coming off the edge. His brother, he got all the poundage, right? The big offensive guard, Nate. But this kid comes off the edge. He is strong, physical, and quicker than you give him credit for.
Familiarity, think about Wisconsin. You mentioned Watt. You got Herbig. It's interesting, all the connections with these colleges in this round.
What drives the Pittsburgh Steelers defense? That outside linebacker. They are the motor in that defense. Herbig's another addition.
This Bears pick.
All right, 3 picks left in the 4th round. Then we're on to the 5th.
Smith pick last night. They've been cashing in picks that they got from Carolina, and this is the pick that they got in the trade to Philadelphia for Robert Quinn, which was one of the picks about that one of the Drake trade deadline last year. So, you know, Ryan Poles made a lot of trades last year to prepare for this moment. Well, it's now time to cash in the pick that used to belong to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Peter just mentioned young GM and Omar Khan, first time going. Ryan Poles, young GM, making offers. We're seeing that. They're more aggressive.
All right, Bears pick. Tyler Scott. So there he goes, finally off the board. Tyler Scott. So they have DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool. So he's a vertical threat, but he can go inside, play in the slot. He's a player that they don't really have.
Who's going to win the combine? It's this guy, Tyler Scott. Speed. I don't know how that works in cold weather Chicago, and I'm not sure if that's the Justin Field, whatever it is.
It did slow down Devin Hester.
It did work out for Devin Hester. This is a good pick, and obviously we know they're trying to build up that wide receiver core. You got DJ Moore, you got Bayless Jones. I like the pick.
I just love this sort of stuff about the draft here. The Stetson Bennett pick that the Rams made was a pick they got when they allowed the Giants to move up to draft Jalen Hyatt last night. That pick was a Robert Quinn trade. The Patriots are going to pick last in this round after the Vikings choose. That was a compensatory pick they got for losing J.C. Jackson. And these moves that we talk about all the time throughout a playing season or you know, a free agency season. Now, this is when general managers have to make them cash and turn them into humans to fit their roster, fit their team, and start winning football games. And then, of course, there's what the Jets and Patriots did in the middle of this draft, actually striking a trade between both of them. And the pick that the Patriots had that they gave to the Jets to move up was the one that they got from Pittsburgh on night 1 that allowed Pittsburgh to move ahead of the Jets to take Robert Jones.
So the Vikings here. And then the Patriots up. Last 2 picks of the 4th. Seen some good players go off the board. Not a whole lot of offensive skill players. You know, we've seen what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players so far. Jay Ward. So they go with another corner.
Is that really Bamf or is that a screen back? No, it's Bamf, man. Okay. He's making sure he wasn't in front of a monitor there. Nicely done. Jay Ward, versatile defensive back.
So the Raiders just traded with the Patriots here to get into the 4th round. Could be coming up here for a quarterback. Dorian Thompson-Robinson's a player I would like. They could possibly be going offensive line. I don't know who they would be looking to target here if that were the case. Tanner McKee, possible. I would not like this pick here. Jaron Hall, possibly. Aiden O'Connell is being talked about.
Let's check it out. And
Raiders draft room looks bumping right now.
It is bumping. So we appreciate them turning their camera on for us. So the Patriots get a...
Wow, so the Patriots get a 5th and a 6th. 144, 214 for 135. So not bad here to move up for the Raiders, but... Taking a little bit of time here on this last pick. Been a very slow 4th round. Draft starts at 11 here, my time. It's gone to 12:41, so in almost 2 hours here on this 4th. It's very interesting. Alright, Raiders here. It is Aiden O'Connell here.
Processors that's what he's going to do. He's not going to live outside the pocket. He's not going to live outside the structure of the offense. But the ability to look off safeties, deliver the ball with anticipation and accuracy on time, that's what he does best.
Interesting in recent picks, we got Charlie Jones from Purdue going, who transferred to Purdue to play with Aiden O'Connell because, one, they throw the ball around. Two, they knew each other from the third grade, playing the same third grade team in Little League.
Eighth quarterback taken, 3 on night 1.
We are here in the 5th round. At the start, Jags are taking the first pick of the 5th. Their pick is in. Bills are up next.
Spring Black Friday at the Home Depot. This is your season, your space, and your place to bring it all to life. Do more this season with Spring Black Friday savings at the Home Depot.
Electric Dream Days are here. Come in now and experience the intense thrills and incredible offers on any of 5 Mercedes-Benz electric vehicles, including 2 years complimentary charging and prepaid maintenance. The vehicles are all electric. The feeling is all Mercedes. The choice is all yours. But hurry, these Dream Days are only here until June 5th.
New chicken nuggets from KFC?
Everybody's gonna want these. Let's see these inside.
Brand new Kentucky Fried Chicken Nuggets. You've never had nuggets like these. Which NFL
All right.
This Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year sure does. I mean, just look at him. Super Bowl champions do. The Offensive Player of the Year does. Turns out 80% of NFL players have a Sleep Number smart bed.
Some
Game-changing sleep only from Sleep Number.
interesting picks left here. I still really like Raheem Jarrett. He's a high upside player for me as a receiver. I wouldn't be upset if he falls to the Ravens and they take him, even though they already took their receiver, Zay Flowers. He's a Maryland guy, so keep him in state. But definitely could go to a number of teams. I really like him with the Bills. So the Jacksonville Jaguars have taken Yasir Abdullah, linebacker, out of Louisville. And there is a trade for pick 137. The Washington Commanders have traded with the Buffalo Bills to take a pick. And their pick is in.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. So if you want to talk to your kids, you have to get it trendy.
No, you're doing it wrong.
Washington could be going up. There's a run on quarterbacks here. 3 in the 4th round. You've got Jake Haener to the Saints. Stetson Bennett goes to the Rams. And then the last pick, Aiden O'Connell in the 4th round. So this could possibly be a quarterback. They have Sam Howell. They have Jacoby Brissett. Seems like they might be okay rolling that unit out there. You've got Eric Bieniemy coming over from the Chiefs as the coach, the new offensive coordinator for the Commanders. Travis Kelce was a big part of the Chiefs' offense. They don't really have a tight end. They have Logan Thomas, who's over 30 years old, has had injury problems. I could really see Zach Kuntz going here, who's my highest remaining player. Just a freak athlete of a tight end. But I also could see offensive line.
Sid kids get better, and families who send their children to St. Jude in Memphis never see a bill for their care or their lodging or their travel or anything. It is just a beautiful thing to watch these kids get better. And later on today, you'll see 5 kids from St. Jude who have gotten better or in the process of getting better run with me at the Rose Bowl as we did 2 weeks ago. Those those are some of the best times that I've had. That's what I was shooting for. Well, back in the day, I used to shoot for that. Now I just shoot for staying in one piece. It's a 50-year-old man, but you'll see later on. It was such a beautiful day 2 weeks ago, and anybody that can give whatever you can, and it will be tremendously appreciated. We have removed ourselves from the stopping to hear every pick. If there is one of note or one that you guys are interested in,
All right. Colts are on the clock. Commanders pick is in. Cardinals are picking next. Cardinals could be a sneaky running back spot. So KJ Henry edge. So they trade up. Let's see. So they trade 137. So the Bills move down 13 spots and get the 6th round pick number 215 from the Commanders. So the Cardinals have James Conner, Keontae Ingram as running backs. James Conner getting older, has had some injury concerns throughout his NFL career. Keontae Ingram, very unproven player. You've got guys still left on the board here at running back. Zach Evans, Israel Abanikanda. Dwayne McBride is a guy a lot of people like. I'm not as high on him.
Obviously, the best schools are going to produce the best players, so that you can have more of those. Ergo, you draft them. Exactly. So there's that part of it. There's also relationships that exist between certain teams and certain programs. And we talk
Darius Rush, corner. So just the Colts getting another fantastic player. Outside of the Steelers, I would say that the Colts are probably having the second best. They're having the second best draft so far. Just every single round, they are getting just unbelievable value on their picks, and they're getting fantastic starting players. They have 3 more picks here in the 5th round, just to pair with their draft that they've already taken here. Blake Freeland could be a plug-and-play starting tackle for them. You know, they've had problems on their offensive line last year, and this was a team that when their offensive line was bad, you know, Andrew Luck took a big beating. They shored it up. It was a lot better over the last couple of years, but last year they had a big dip downward. Adetomiwa Adebaware, just another great player that could even, you know, he was projected to go somewhere in the 2nd, maybe 3rd. Fell all the way to the 4th round. They swooped him up. Just a great player for them. Rotational guy who could see some valuable snaps. Took Josh Downs, going to be their slot receiver to pair with their 2 outside guys. Just another great starter player that they've gotten. Julius Brents. So they've now got Julius Brents and Cam Smith. And after losing Stephon Gilmore, they get 2 good startable centers or corners. And then of course you have Anthony Richardson, the quarterback. So, very good draft from the Colts. I think the Steelers are definitely a team that's had a great draft. I mean, you want to talk about getting value. Nick Herbig in the 4th. He was in Daniel Jeremiah's top 70, and he goes 60 picks later. Darnell Washington, a tight end that should have gone somewhere in the 2nd. There's possible concerns about his knees, you know, a knee issue. So if there's medical concerns there, then this makes sense for the fall. But if he's medically cleared, this is a great pick. Just going to be adding as like an extra offensive lineman to a team that's needed offensive line help. But he's also got good pass catching ability. Joey Porter falling to them at pick 32 is a dream scenario for them. This is a player they could have taken at pick 17 where they were. They traded up to get Broderick Jones. They needed a tackle, so they got one there. And then getting Joey Porter. You know, this is a bit of a legacy pick. You know, Joey Porter Sr. winning a Super Bowl with the Steelers. So that's a fun storyline. Keanu Benton, nose tackle is such an important position for them. So to get a young, valuable player here who's just really good is great. Other teams with good drafts. I really like the Giants draft so far. They get my 4th best corner. And I think Deonte Banks was that. For me, I like Joey Porter a little bit better. But Deonte Banks fits perfectly into their system. You know, you've got Wink Martindale there as their defensive coordinator. This is a great pick. No receivers left on the board that they probably liked here anyway. So you get a fantastic corner for them. John Michael Schmitz is a guy that I thought they would have taken in the 1st round. And to get him here in the 2nd, in my opinion, the best center, best interior offensive lineman, goes to them here at pick 57. So they got to be ecstatic about that pick. And then Jalen Hyatt, receiver out of Tennessee, speed guy, get their vertical weapon. They've got a lot of slot guys. So to get another guy like Darius Slayton, to kind of push him to compete and to get more vertical threats there, is good for them. No 4th round pick. And they've got pick 172. So good draft out of them so far. Denver Broncos are another team I really like their draft so far. They didn't have a 4th round pick, no 5th for them, seems like. They've already gotten good players. Drew Sanders they took in the start of the 2nd or start of the 3rd. You know, I thought this was the 2nd linebacker taken after Jack Campbell, who went in the 1st round. So a big gap between the 1st and 2nd linebacker taken. But I think Drew Sanders could have been just as good as Jack Campbell, if not better. I had Jack Campbell a little bit ahead, but great player for them. You know, take another guy in Riley Moss, corner. This is a guy I really like. I think he's going to be a good, solid player for them. And then in the 2nd round, taking one of my guys, Marvin Mims out of Oklahoma. This is a guy who can play everywhere. Just a very good, deep, vertical threat. Just an overall player that makes big-time plays. And that's something that they definitely need. So let's get back here to the draft. We've got Clayton Tune, quarterback, going to the Arizona Cardinals. This is a little bit surprising. I guess they really don't have a quarterback. You would like to share? There should be a share in. If you just go, there should be a share button on YouTube. If you go right under the video in the comment, like above the comment section, that's how you want to share. Do appreciate the share. Dorian Thompson-Robinson going to the Browns. This is a guy that I like. He's going to be a backup behind Deshaun Watson. You know, this is a player that could develop. They're already locked in, so this is just going to be their backup player. I think he's a good guy that can develop and possibly win you some games if for some reason Deshaun Watson can't play. So I like him a lot better than some of these quarterbacks that were taken ahead of him. So, 2 more quarterbacks going off the board here in the 5th. A little surprising. And then Colts on the board. Browns up next. And looks like there's a trade here.
Why did we choose Safelite? We were loading our SUV when crack. Safelite came right to us, and we could
So
see exactly when they'd arrive. With a replacement we could trust. That service the way we want it.
Yeah, so the Colts have traded with the Vikings here. So the Vikings are coming back in to take a guy. This could be a number of players here. A couple of safeties still on the board. So the Clayton Tune pick is really a pick that I think makes more sense than the Dorian Thompson-Robinson pick. You know, Kyler Murray is coming off an injury. You don't really have any backups there. This is a team that struggled, you know, when they had guys like David Blau. You had Trace McSorley last year, and those were guys that just really weren't doing anything at quarterback for you. So to get a possible, you know, sleeper quarterback here, I guess with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, they also don't have a real backup there in Cleveland, and he plays sort of similar to Deshaun Watson. So I guess to keep your scheme similar with a backup quarterback makes some sense.
Peter Davidson. Not deep, because before 11 a.m., I like to keep it toned down and simple, just like Taco Bell breakfast. With fluffy eggs, sausage, melty cheese, and a crispy hash brown and a grilled tortilla. Nothing too wild, just like me, Peter Davidson. Isn't that right, co-host Rhonda?
Co-host?
You're on Breakfast with Peter. You're my co-host.
Are we on TV right now?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
For bathroom odors that linger, try Febreze Small Spaces. Just press firmly, and it continuously fights odors in the air and on soft surfaces for 45 days.
So the Vikings pick is in. Browns are on the board. Jets are up next. Could see the Jets possibly taking a tight end here. You know, they've got Tyler Conklin, CJ Uzomah. Jeremy Ruckert is a player that they took in the third last year. But really haven't gotten too much impact from them. Obviously, you've struggled at quarterback, so that could be a possible reason. And it might not be the biggest need for them, but they could definitely look to improve. Patriots also, another team that hasn't gotten the best production out of tight ends. They did sign Mike Gesicki from Miami. But the Patriots still haven't gone receiver here. They have Juju Smith-Schuster, Kendrick Bourne, Tyquan Thornton they took last year in the second. Cleveland Browns have really shored up their defensive line. So they could possibly look for a linebacker here. Could be a running back to... Okay, so you have Jacqueline Roy going to the Vikings. This could possibly be a running back. They lose Kareem Hunt this year. He's a free agent now. So you need a backup behind Nick Chubb. Dearness Johnson also not there. He is in Jacksonville now. So you've got guys like Jerome Ford there. But you don't have a solid backup or a second running back to kind of take some of that workload off Nick Chubb so he can stay healthy throughout the whole year. So you got the Seahawks coming up with a couple picks. Got the Packers. They've got some picks here in the 5th round. There's Rams. Rams with a bunch of picks here. I know the Rams have a lot of 5th and 6th round picks. I think the Rams could have 3 6th round picks. They have 4 5th round picks and 2 6th round picks. So this is a team that they haven't really. They took 2. They had 2 thirds, a second, no first. Obviously, that was to the Lions. But they've got a bunch of picks coming up here. In the 7th round, they have two more picks. So Rams are going to be busy here on day 3. Already started off with Stetson Bennett.
Where you were saying that this is a Brock Purdy effect. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind when Trey Lance is somebody that they're just taking calls, right? They're not making them. In the sense that they're taking, big difference between taking and making phone calls. But John Lynch said at point blank, you know, why would they trade Trey Lance? They used 5 quarterbacks last year. I mean, and now they're even talking about roster-wise in the NFL, making sure that you do have.
So Cameron Mitchell, cornerback out of Northwestern. You know, this is very funny. Greg Newsome, you know, there was talks about him possibly requesting a trade. Another cornerback they got a couple of years ago out of Northwestern in the 1st round. So interesting to see how that plays out. But they get a corner here.
And obviously, if Purdy is healthy, I mean, that is the mother load for the NFL, is to have somebody do so well in their first
So my Ravens here coming up at 157. Got a little bit of a ways to go. A little over 10 picks. Wow. So the Jets take Israel Abanikanda. Not a great spot for him. You know, you have Breece Hall there. This is kind of crushing for me. He's a player I really like. Thought he could get really good, a really good opportunity. Yeah, that's a really unfortunate pick.
Anything to do with the San Francisco quarterback room after last year, everything's in play. Absolutely everything. At this point last year,
We knew there was a possibility they would go running back when there were rumors floating around that they could have taken Jahmyr Gibbs with the 15th overall pick if the Lions didn't. So
how much does all of this, sorry, just to jump in here, how much does all of this play into the evaluation of quarterbacks that have
Israel Abanikanda is going to be a solid handcuff player behind Breece Hall. But
last year Malik Willis was drafted out of Liberty on the second night of the draft. He got in. Will Levis is out. Matt Jones 2 years ago, middle of the first round, had a terrific to New England the fourth week of the season. He wound up being in the Pro Bowl. And then last year happened. Belichick, on occasion, it was like a manhole cover throwing around trying to get him to say he's the guy. But New England hasn't chosen a quarterback here. Obviously, Bailey Zappe's still there. What is the latest in your estimation? And I think we'll bring Ian in on this about Mac Jones in New England, where they just chose.
Patriots have gone with a lot of offensive line players here. 3 interior offensive linemen.
Give a mulligan to last year without having an offensive coordinator. Now we got to see Mac. You've got Billy O'Brien's offense. Let's see. Ian will surely have an insight as well.
I spent 3 years covering the New England Patriots, and I feel like I speak Belichick, I don't know, maybe as well as anyone, who knows. Him saying Mac Jones absolutely, that he has the competency.
So the Panthers pick is in. We've got the Saints up on the clock. Titans right behind them.
Take this pick because, believe it or not, at pick 145, middle of the 5th round, top of the 5th round, it's currently the Panthers' last pick in this draft. To announce the Carolina Panthers selection, representing
Panthers, this is their last pick in the draft unless they trade back in. Jamie Robinson, safety here to the Panthers. Not a bad pick. Definitely still some players that I like a lot better here. Christopher Smith is a guy that I think is still on the board that is just a much better safety prospect. If Chris Smith gets down to the Packers here, I think they would love to have him here in the 5th round. So Daniel Scott also from Cal. There's another good safety still left. Still a bunch of corners here left on the board. You've got Kyu Blue Kelly, Eli Ricks, Jalen Jones, all still left. couple of linebackers. Luke Weipler. So if a team needs a center, he's falling. Andrew Voorhees. We'll see how far he falls. I would love Andrew Voorhees in the 6th for the Ravens. If they can get a corner here, and then take Andrew Voorhees in the 6th. Emil Ekiyor, another guy, pretty good. Zach Evans, still on the board for running back. Chase Brown, also still on the board. My running back 7 in this class. Zach Evans, my running back 6. We just saw my running back 5 in Israel Abanikanda. Go to the New York Jets.
To the broadest, most reliable network of sales and service dealers. We lead, others follow.
There's 1,000 different drink combinations at Sonic. I'm gonna list them one by one. Get ready. Cherry limeade. Well, it looks like Sonic. Got 'em. Let's go, Bolo.
The schedule is released. Lots of great storylines. A rivalry game just the way we like it. All eyes on the quarterback. It's a true revenge game. Let's go! Sweeps a man, and it is caught. If you're a fan of football, this is the day. Are you ready for a taste of Wisconsin?
How to prep for a job interview. Step 1, find the perfect outfit. Step 2, ruin it. Step 3, keep your cool because you booked your ride ahead. Introducing Uber Reserve. Get your ride right.
Vital Sun Care. Invisible daily defense for everyday wear. Neutrogena.
I'm Ron Finley, also known as the Gangster Gardener. This garden was developed out of necessity for healthy
So you got pick 146 here, 177.
The internet has helped spread my word.
About 30 picks left. Moving fairly slow.
Glad you chose T-Mobile, covering more highway miles with 5G than anyone. And when you're stuck, help will be there soon. Because AAA also chose T-Mobile as their wireless partner.
So Jordan Howden, safety out of Minnesota, goes to the Saints. Titans up here. Could possibly go receiver. I think Raheem Jarrett would be an amazing value here for them. So, somewhat surprised he's fallen. Didn't have nearly as much production as you would like from a player of his caliber in Maryland, but just a really good prospect with good traits. So if you can coach him up, get him into the right system, I would love that.
Is Aaron Rodgers going to play for the Jets? Because I'll tell you what, the Jets play the AFC East, they play the AFC West, they play the NFC East. Does that mean Rodgers goes to Dallas to kick off the Sunday night season, the Monday night season? Is that Aaron Rodgers plays Jalen Hurts? He plays, goes up against the Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson and Justin Herbert. They play the Giants this year. The Giants, and I mean, all of those games. Rodgers' first game against New England. Those are nationally televisable games, we would say. And obviously the Baltimore Ravens having Lamar in the mix.
Yep, changes everything. I'm anticipating some interesting conversations with your kids about homework or watching primetime football.
I mean, there are so many of them.
What is your max number of prime time?
6 or 7. Yeah, 6, and then
Probably been a minute since the Jets have got anywhere near 6.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers showing up in green at number 8 just makes them must-see, and the fact that number 8 isn't changing in Baltimore makes a lot of Ravens games must-see. So Lamar and the Ravens agreeing to a 5-year, $260 million contract. I was talking about this on my daily show.
Picks are kind of slowing down here. Just waiting for them to come in. Titans on the clock. Bears up next. Packers.
Jalen Hurts signed his deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. We had, my outstanding Rich Eisen show, I must say, if you don't mind, Emmy-nominated crew. We had them just sneak the gif of
said that's Eric DeCosta. There it is. That's the contract. And I don't think it's any coincidence that within 2 weeks, Lamar just signed for a little bit more, and he's back in Baltimore. And maybe the Eagles help the Ravens solve that Rubik's Cube, because, boy, with Odell and now Zay Flowers, the Ravens are definitely in the mix for the AFC title.
The structure was certainly there. And then the Odell move at the time, everyone said, well, what does it mean? What does it mean? It's a big deal. It's an outward gesture to Lamar Jackson. We're doing everything we can to get you your guy. Then they get Zay Flowers, who Lamar had a relationship with. They knew each other. Before this, they are going to be together. I believe the Ravens fans got everything they wanted Lamar. I think Lamar's happy.
Josh Wiley, tight end out of Cincy, goes here. So we've got our first tight end of day 3.
Fully guaranteed contract, but as these contracts of the quarterbacks go, now with Jalen Hurts and Lamar, it looks like that's not going to be the standard. It's going to be an outlier.
This is an interesting one, and not just because it ended a saga which has been going on for a year, and I think all of us are probably going to be happy not to be talking about this for a while. But the Baltimore Ravens have wanted this to happen so bad. This wasn't an unresolved issue that they couldn't figure out, and they weren't sure was he their quarterback. He's always been the quarterback in the eyes of the Ravens. It was just, could they get Lamar Jackson to engage contract-wise, like he did in other ways, as you guys mentioned. He was recruiting Odell Beckham to play for a team that he wasn't even under contract with. Now they finally get him the offer that he simply could not refuse, thanks in part to the Jalen Hurts contract that came right before it. And now it is done in a place the Ravens have been dying to get to.
And it's perfect timing that we're having this conversation as the Bears are finishing up the final piece of draft capital they got in trading Roquan Smith to Baltimore. And you've got to factor that in.
The Bears are up here. This is the pick they got from Baltimore when they traded Roquan Smith. And most Ravens fans would say well worth. Roquan's been an amazing player for them.
An elite A-list quarterback to have a seat at the table. Obviously, you could put something together around a quarterback that isn't widely considered that and have a run. But what do you think of the Ravens' chances in this stacked conference?
Well, even when they haven't had him on the field, if they haven't won games, they've been very competitive. They keep the score down. Think about how tough they play Cincinnati. I think they're in every football game with the way they play, because they can run the football. They've always played solid defense. They needed more playmakers, though, around not only getting Lamar out there, but some other guys, because of all the firepower you see here in Kansas City and Cincinnati and Buffalo, and you've got the Jags and the Chargers coming as well. They didn't have enough weaponry offensively. I think they've really tried to address that with these two moves. So they're right there. I mean,
Noah Sewell goes here. Noah Sewell's a player I really liked, so I think this is a good pick for him, good value. You're getting a linebacker here to kind of in a replacement. And this is a pick you got from Roquan Smith. Clearly not even going to be as close to the player that Roquan Smith is. But overall, I think this is an underrated player that I think not enough people are talking about with Noah Sewell. So Green Bay Packers are here. I would be almost surprised if this wasn't Christopher Smith. They need a safety. He's the best fit, best player left at the position.
Mahomes and Burrow have made that Final Four 2 straight years. It was the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence having that 4th seat at the table. What do you think about the Ravens' chances?
I think they're very good. I think what's interesting about the Ravens is the offense seemingly is getting quote-unquote mixed and tuned up even higher, obviously. It's the defensive side of the ball. Play like a Raven. We almost take that for granted. DJ just talked about how good they always are on defense, keeping scores down low. Remember, Marcus Peters won't be there now in one of the corners. They got to make sure that gets solidified. Who is the number 1 pass rusher? Odafe Owe has got to start coming through for them, becoming a double-digit sack guy, because that's what they're used to getting that pressure on the edge. Remember last year, guys, they're getting ready for Buffalo. I remember I had the game. It was like Tuesday, and Jason Pierre-Paul signs. And by the way, started on Sunday and played almost 60 snaps. Not something anyone anticipated. That was also a signal they needed help in that direction. They're still continuing to work on that.
They changed the offensive coordinator, too. So we're so used to seeing the Greg Roman offense. We're going to run this thing with 3 tight ends and Ricard's out there. We haven't seen how Lamar works in the Todd Monken offense yet. Of course, he comes from Georgia, but has an NFL background. I think that's going to be really interesting. Does Lamar have another gear?
Wow, Sean Clifford, quarterback. This is a player that I not even close to being on my board. It's very surprising here. Can't imagine much Packer fans are happy.
Wasn't quite as good. The change of direction wasn't quite as good this year. I thought the range was a little bit limited. But he's a big linebacker, 246 pounds. We're seeing all these light 230 and sub-230 linebackers. He's a big tackle-to-tackle thumper.
In a lot of ways, he's a 9-on-7 linebacker. Old school. When we say old school, 9-on-7 drill, offensive line, defensive line. But he is that old school guy to step up and hit you.
Have you? Is it standard fare to clap for every draft pick?
No matter what. Yes.
All right, I'm just wondering.
Yes. We got our guys. And shake the GM's hands. Make sure he's
kid out of Cincinnati, played for Penn State. Now he's going to Green Bay to be part of the quarterback room.
I beat out Will Levis. Yeah, before we get to Clifford, I've been in a draft room before where they're signing next to a scout. You're going.
Ravens up in 7 picks. I think I could possibly end stream after the Ravens make their pick. Gonna make food and start working on some content for post draft.
We've gone through so many different times with these quarterbacks. Marquise Williams beat out Mitch Trubisky in North Carolina, and people wondered, oh, well, do I take a one-year wonder? We're seeing more and more of that college football. They like the guy that wins games.
Was it Nick Fromm?
Beat out Jake Fromm. State Farm.
Sorry. He beat out Justin Fields of Georgia.
And don't forget, didn't allow Jacob Eason to get his job back. But once you start winning games,
Bills pick is in. Seahawks are on the board. Lions are up next. Lions have had some very interesting picks so far this draft. Let's take a look at some of these guys. So round 1, they take Jahmyr Gibbs. Very strange pick. Jack Campbell's another player that I know a lot of people have a problem with because it's a linebacker, not a high-valued position. I think this is a really good fit for them. They need a linebacker, so I don't hate this pick. It's just the Jahmyr Gibbs pick that's really wild to me. And then you take Sam Laporta at the very start of the second when you have a guy like Michael Mayer, who's just a surefire player at the same position, going to play fairly similar. It's just a good fit, but I think Michael Mayer was just way too good to pass up on. Brian Branch is a really good player, so they kind of make up there and get really good value. Hendon Hooker is a quarterback they take. It's a interesting pick. I don't dislike it. I don't like it. You know, he's going to be sitting behind Jared Goff to develop. You know, not going to play at all this year because he's coming off that injury. Seahawks take Mike Morris, edge, out of Michigan. I like that pick. Broderick Martin's a little bit of a confusing one for me. I don't really like that pick. They don't have a 4th, so they got a 5th coming up. So let's go back here, take a look. Like I said, so Justin Shorter, receiver. This is another guy I don't have on my board. So
some point in time before this draft is over. Showed you his power in that game. He also has a little bit of nifty up and under. Not the most dynamic, elite get-off and burst and athleticism, but somebody's going to be dominant.
this is another confusing pick for me here. There's much better guys. Andre Iosivez, Raheem Jarrett, two guys I really like. Especially right here, 6'4", 229. You know, Andre Iosivez, 6'3", you know, about 210, 215. So you're just passing up a very similar player to get a player that, you know, you could have gotten undrafted possibly. Not a fan of this pick.
Just go into the playing season. Let's see what we got. One game at a time. Win that game in November to give me 3 in a row. By the way, just letting the folks in Canton know when I do the Jack Katiba this year, I might have to hire extra security with all the chess talk. That's going to be great. But the Detroit Lions, also in the state of Michigan, as we know, having a lot of bandwagon hoppers for them, and the way that they finished the season, that big win that sent Aaron Rodgers home, and then that was his last game as a Green Bay Packer. And what do you think about what the Lions have done here, trading DeAndre Swift, getting Jahmyr Gibbs, moving around the draft board as they have? There's their draft room right there. That is Dan Campbell on the phone. Jack Campbell was a pick that a lot of people thought might have been a bit early for Jack Campbell, but you never know.
No relation as we've determined.
Correct. That is correct. What do you think, DJ?
Well, I like where they're headed as a team, and to me, it's you can look at
Colby Sordell.
To me, I look at the overall group that they've brought in. I think they've got a handful of starters who are going to emerge out of this draft. They're going to be key players on an already really good young team.
The Jahmyr Gibbs pick was much ridiculed the night of by everyone on the internet and everyone. What I've discovered in the last 48 hours is that every team I talk to is like, oh, we liked Gibbs here. We liked Gibbs here. Everyone had Gibbs on their board as one of the top players. So you look at it from the whole picture and not where we selected him. They came out with Jahmyr Gibbs in this draft, and they also got a lot of players who are going to play right away.
And they just drafted Colby Sorzel out of William and Mary, who was a big-time sleeper, non-combine, under the radar, popped up late. He was at the East-West Shrine game, started a ton of games, 45 games, was a captain. When people got to know him as a kid,
The Buccaneers here going to be looking to rebuild after losing Tom Brady. He retires.
1983. And remember, he was blocking some kid who got drafted last year named Kobe Turner? Yeah. Remember that? He was at University of Richmond, same conference, and they played against each other during that time. But I like this Lions team. I like the direction they're headed. It's just interesting to me that a non-playoff team goes and takes a running back at 12, which tells me they believe they're on the precipice of being right there as well. And last but not least, we use the word culture all the time. They have built a culture in 2 years that's as good as there is in this league. It took that short amount of time.
You got the Bucks, Seahawks, 49ers. 49ers, you know, they've had a couple picks so far in the third round. No picks in the first or second. Not been a fan of what they've done. So the 49ers, they select Jair Brown, corner, which is, it's okay. I think there were much better corners at the time. They take a kicker in the third, so it's very early for a kicker. And then you take Cameron Latu, who, in my opinion, is not even close to one of the better tight ends. There are still better tight ends left than Cameron Latu now. You know, and there are no tight ends. One tight end has gone off the board so far. So I think you probably could have waited on Cameron Latu and taken him here with your 5th round pick coming up. So not a fan of what the 49ers have done so far. Wow, Servoka Dennis. Servoka Dennis is a player I really like a lot. Thought there was a chance that maybe he could have fallen a little bit later, but Just a very smart player.
But he's an outstanding rusher who's got timing and just his ability to slither around for pressures. He's going to get swallowed at times, not real big, but the speed is excellent. And he can retreat off the ball and play the passing lanes as well. He's got nice movement. Great name.
I'm gonna, in this commercial break, have a little Servos here. Subway keeps upping their game with the Subway series, an all-star menu of delicious subs. Like number 6, the Boss. Meatballs with marinara and pepperoni.
I get asked so many times, who's the boss?
If you get the Boss, you are the Boss. Try Subway's tastiest menu upgrade yet.
Hey, Dad. What's the ocean like?
The Buccaneers take Elijah Canty in the first. A bit of a surprising pick. Don't think it's a bad pick by any means, but he's going to be pairing up alongside Vita Vea. You know, kind of the lightning to the thunder, so to say. Much smaller player, where Vita Vea is that giant behemoth. Cody Mock is a player I like. You know, I don't like this if they put him at tackle. You know, they need left tackle. Cody Mock is more of a guard for me. So I really wouldn't be a fan if that's the way they go with him. But if he's going to be playing guard for them, then I think that's a good pick. You know, they've kind of needed some guard play after losing Ali Marpet to retirement. Yaya Diaby, just a good player overall at edge for them. And then 5th round here. So they're really kind of focusing on the defense this year. And they're going to look to retool when they know who their quarterback is going to be moving forward. Which I think is fairly smart.
Affordable design, endless possibilities. IKEA.
Is a new title really necessary? Sir, after bestowing the gift of renting ease to millions, a bump is in order.
Okay, let's see. Oh, hey, what's this?
Lord of the Lease.
I'm not a hat person.
Yeah,
Olusegun Oluwatimi goes off the board there. Bit of a tricky name to say.
Master of the rental sphere.
Wow. I don't know, is it too much? Privates.com. Place to find a place.
While Pro Tony Pollard is training to win in the field, Tony trusts Invisalign aligners to improve his winning smile, joining 15 million smiles worldwide. Invis is trusted by the pros.
NFL Plus brings you the draft like never before with exclusive content.
That's what I dreamed about. It's finally time.
Plus expert analysis.
He can do it all.
And behind the scenes
49ers pick is in. Chargers are on the clock, and the Ravens are up after that. So let's look to see who they take.
Every weekday, NFL Now has the latest from around the league. We're gonna feed this guy even more.
All eyes are on this offense.
I'm sure he's got a point to prove. NFL Now, Monday at 1 on NFL Network.
Well, the fantastic scene in Kansas City continues on day 3 of the 2023 NFL Draft. Beautiful afternoon there from our host city as the Seattle Seahawks just made the most.
Colts are going to be up soon. They took Darius Rush in the 5th. Great pick for them.
Shortly as we welcome you into our Los Angeles studios here at NFL Network as our 2023 NFL Draft coverage presented by Verizon continues. Brett Lewis, Bucky Brooks, Maurice Jones-Drew, and Mark Ross here to work you through some picks. But we've got the 49ers ready to make their selection first of the day from Mexico City.
This is Javi Garcia, representing the club 49ers Mexico, and all the fans here at La Casa de los 49ers in Mexico City. With the pick 155th in the 2023 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Darren Luther, DB, son of Alabama.
So Darrell Luter Jr., cornerback, going to the 49ers here. Just an overall mediocre to subpar draft from the 49ers. Yeah, but this is how most of their drafts go, is a lot of players that people don't think are particularly that great, but they can develop really well. Here we go. Ravens on the board. Corey Trice, corner, still on the board. Ravens do have a bunch of players here that they could possibly go with. I think if I had to take a guess, this is probably Eli Ricks. They really like Alabama players. They need a corner. Seems like a fit. There are a little bit players I like better. Jalen Jones, Kyu Blue Kelly, Jordan McFadden, interior offensive line. I think more of a, interior line tackle possibly could flex. It's going to be interesting to see. Okay, so he is listed as tackle. They took him at tackle, Chargers. So the Baltimore Ravens are on the clock here. I do like the Jordan McFadden pick. Jordan McFadden, a bit of a sleeper here. Haven't been a fan of the last pick that the Chargers took. They took a small receiver. I was not a fan. They could have taken Tyler Scott instead. They didn't. This is a good pick for them.
Well, I like that we did it this order. Bronze medal, silver, but the gold medalist, this is not even close. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, usually, if you're the runner-up in the Super Bowl, you don't have much work to do, but we know the Eagles lost a ton of pieces. All right, well, let's just go crush this draft with UGA North Campus in Philadelphia now. Athens North in Philadelphia. We know about the Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith on night one. And then you go back and you replenish and go trade for DeAndre Swift. Go get another Georgia guy and out of this fortify that running back group. Kylie Ringo, the corner, the big, fast corner, another bulldog that Howie Roseman is bringing into the fold there to go with Slade and Bradbury. So the Eagles were the favorites anyway coming off the season. Now they just reload with Carter, with Smith, with Sidney Brown, who I think is going to be the next coming of Brian Dawkins here in Philadelphia. And then Kylie Ringo, just an absolute masterclass by Howie Roseman.
The only problem with that is they're not playing the SEC anymore. So all them Georgia guys will have to show up every Sunday. We don't get to play Vanderbilt, Bucky. Come on, let's be honest.
Look, I mean, I appreciate all your input with all due respect. Guys, this question was over with the number 3 overall pick on night one. The Houston Texans getting the franchise cornerstone on both sides of the ball. C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson won this. It was over at pick 3. Yes.
I mean, I just mentioned all 17 guys with the Lions.
That's because the Texans got 6 starters with their first 6 picks last year. So like they are stacking draft classes right now. Right?
The Ravens, I think they'll probably take corner Eli Ricks. From Alabama. They could take Kyu Blue Kelly, Jalen Jones from Texas A&M. They could take Zach Evans, running back out of Ole Miss. Chase Brown out of Illinois. Another running back. Andrew Voorhees, interior offensive lineman from USC. I think there's a couple guys that they could take. I hope they don't take someone that I don't know. I hope they take a corner at least. Starling Thomas out of UBA. There's a couple players here that they could take that I'd be happy with. And there it is, Kyu Blue Kelly. I'm happy with that. I'm very happy with Kyu Blue Kelly. Stanford corner. They needed a corner. I think this is a good one. They got him at a good value here. So I'm fairly happy. They've got four players here so far in the draft. They haven't made any bad picks so far. Their first round pick is their most important. That's the player I like the most anyway. So I'm very happy about that. Let's take a look at who the Colts take here before we head out. They've done very good drafting so far.
You use my Old Spice body wash. I'm not letting hotel soap near my skin. It's the lavender and mint for me. Get that.
Savannah, if you don't get your moisturized hands off my body wash.
Lowe's knows the most powerful tool in your toolbox is an app that saves you time and money. That's why we got an app that lets you build an instant quote, reorder your favorites, and track your MVPs and pro rewards. It works hard so you can stay on the job, get it done, and move on to the next. You got this, and we got you.
Wow, Daniel Scott goes here. Another player that I think is just really good. The Colts keep getting great players. They've had one of the best drafts. They need it. They were a very bad team. They have the 4th overall pick. And they just keep getting good players.
There's a new breed of hornet sweeping the nation.
And we'll take a look at what the Packers pick is here.
We're reinventing our network. Fast, reliable, perfectly orchestrated.
Safeties.
United States Postal Service.
As the season comes to an end and a champion is crowned, we want to say thanks to
Yep, Caillou Blue Kelly. He's a player, I had a decent chance. They like taking Alabama players, so I thought that's why they would take Eli Ricks, but Caillou Blue Kelly is the best player I had left on the board. I had him a little bit over Eli Ricks. I think a bunch of corners have gone ahead of him that I don't like as much. See, there's one, two. It's probably about six or seven guys that went ahead of Caillou Blue Kelly that I don't like as much. So I think this is a good pick for them. I'm very happy with it. And then they go Dontavian Wicks. It's just a player that I really don't like at all. It's just a very slow guy. Not a very good pick. But that is going to do it for me. I'm going to go make some food. So, thank you for watching. And joining me for these past 3 days live streaming the NFL draft. So, everyone enjoy the rest of your day.